EU Fandome. That's gonna be basically an online con.
Uh-huh.
Basically, because I mean, obviously, with all things considering, exactly. But it's supposed to be a lot of fandom. But I feel like this is more for, even though actually it'd be a lie to say it was more for, but I think a lot of this push for it is also with the Snyder Cut, to bring the Snyder Cut and everything that's DCEU all together underneath one house, to let it be. It's almost like supporting each other. That's how I'm looking at it. It's a smart thing, but I do feel like we already know what's going to be the big thing that's pushing it.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be the Snyder Cut. So, and I believe they're gonna have a lot of YouTubers that supporters. I believe I might have even talked to you about, like, I remember conversing with someone on Twitter that was part of it that actually asked me, yo, if you're a YouTuber, hey, because we're trying to get as much as, well, not as much, but see all the people that we have, and they were going to make their selections, which was interesting. So they're going to actually have a lot. Basically, my thing is, there's going to be a lot more fan participation. A lot more fan participation in this one. And for me, before I let you have most of it, or if not all of it, I'm obviously going to be excited more for the Snyder Cut, but not just that, because I'm glad we finally got that. And I've already been following and geeking up about it from before. I think the biggest shine for me is to see Snyder back with everyone, all things DC. Because now it's not going to be like, hey, I'm not trying to undercut you. Yeah, I mean, we already know that this is a big experiment. This is a big fucking experiment on a lot of levels that we'll have just a show just to discuss about. But I think it's showing, it's a way for the DCEU to present itself to the audience and to the fans, the pre-existing fans, and even just the disposable fans, that this is what we're doing. They're going to give a lot of information. I believe they may even drop the Suicide Squad trailer, the James Gunn's version.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think they may discuss the air cut, but the air cut is something that they're not going to, I don't think they're going to be talking about until they see how the Zack Snyder's Justice League goes off. But I'm really looking forward to see what they do with Suicide Squad. What are the conversations? Because it seems like they actually have an idea where the Flashpoint is going, but I still think that's tied to the success of the Justice League Snyder Cut. So for me, a lot of things I'm not exactly sure, because it's so tied to. I'm positive it's tied to how well people receive this. Because if it's just received well, I really feel like they're going to do a lot of things that's going to be coming behind it. That's why I feel like they're hedging their bets with all these multiverse ideas. I think they're just hedging bets. But with that being said, just the fandom, I'm really curious to know what DC has in store, because they actually, behind the scenes, they've got what? They got the Robert Pattinson's, which I'm interested on more information about, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not as excited as everyone else. I'm not as excited, but it's Batman. It'll be there. Don't get me wrong, it will be there. It's just that this rendition of, with the information I got, I'm interested, but I'm not as enthused. But give me more information about this Pattinson. They also got this. I'm hoping that they're gonna discuss the Aquaman 2, and if they're really gonna still do the trench, because they were talking about that before that. And of course, I'm real big on figuring out what any more information on Wonder Woman 84. I'm here for the bullshit. That being said, I'm just excited just seeing DC feeling like, for the first time in a very long time, at least looking like they actually, I don't want to say have their house in order, but they're happy with what they have right now. I feel like that's where DC is, the energy is coming from. Whether it's mostly being pumped via through AT&T, who's bought it, it just seems like there's more positivity around this, and that's what I'm excited for. And I'm excited for the presentation and all the possibilities, because there's so much talk from Michael Keaton to this to that. I'm here for the bullshit. Everything else is you.
Well, I will. I'll say it this way. I think the whole interactive, the way they're doing it, I think it's a good idea. Obviously, with the way things are with COVID and stuff like that. So I think that they found a way, like many, instead of just not having a Comic-Con, or this is. I think that's a good idea. On your thing about getting the house in order, I will say simply this. I agree. I think DC has found its footing. I think they're starting to find their stride. And me, who's not a DC Comics fan, I'm a movie fan, and I love superheroes. And I've always said this. I don't even like the character Superman. I never liked him growing up. I don't like DC Comics. But Man of Steel, I think, is one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen in my life.
That's a fact.
I just like to throw that out.
For me too.
And that goes from a guy who not only does not like DC Comics, never liked Superman. But I will say that Man of Steel, to me, is one of the greatest superhero movies I've ever seen. Hands down, period. So let me go back to what I was saying. So I think the whole fandom con where people can, I think that's a great idea. I think the reason why DC has got their footing is one simple reason. They're not trying to change the MCU. I think that people looked at what the MCU did, and it was a rush. Okay, now we got Wonder Woman, we got this, let's do a Justice League. I think I think what they're doing now, I think they found their stride. You know what? Kevin Feige, you boys got your thing. Let's do our thing. Whether it be just standalone movies, Joker, Robert Pattinson's Batman. Now, obviously, you still have the ones that connect, like Wonder Woman and Aquaman, but I think that they found their footing, and I think that's good. And I wish them all success, because I'm a true believer in all tides, what is it, all tides rise boats, or whatever that saying is. It's just good for everyone.
All tides rise, all ships, some shit. I know.
Yeah, something like that. But again, so I'm not with the whole Marvel's better. This was listen. I want all of you guys to succeed, because the more you guys succeed, it means I'm just gonna get more superhero movies. And I get to live my childhood again, being a superhero fan. So I'm glad that they found their footing. What I do find interesting is this, though.
Okay.
So this is what I find interesting, because you brought up the Snyder Cut. And I guess it's kind of karma in a way.
Okay.
Now, you know more about the story than I do. So just follow me. Zack Snyder started this whole DCEU with Man of Steel, correct?
That's a fact.
Okay, now, most people pan Man of Steel. It was a disappointment to the masses, we would say.
Oh, what they would say,
right?
Divisive.
Right, divisive. So let's just follow, right? So now Zack Snyder's gone. Well, we found a hit with Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman made 800, 900 million, and then we got our first Billy Goat with Aquaman, right?
Yeah.
And then Justice League was a brick.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a brick. It wasn't a brick.
I heard it was like their lowest.
No, it's not actually. Shazam is the lowest.
They
expected in terms of profit, because they put more money.
Didn't even turn a profit.
No, like I said, in terms of profit, it was on the very low end. It might have even broke even, because they pumped even more movie just to trim it down and do the reshoots, because they had to do extensive reshoots. So that's what effed up their profit margin. But at 600 and I think it was 600, a little over 600 million. That's not a flop. It just, it may be a financial flop. You may argue financial flop, but that's not a flop. Like out and out, people came to see the movie.
Well, it all depends on what you consider flop. I consider financial flop a flop. If you don't break even, you flop. Like, that's kind of how I look at it. But again, that's a separate conversation.
I mean, but you also got to take in consideration that they put even double the money into it. So they're like that. That's a little bit of a.
At the end of the day, whether you double the money or reshoots, whatever, that's still what you spent to get the movie out.
That's a fact.
That's still what you spent. So again, I'm just for argument's sake, they laid a brick. Zack Snyder's gone, right? But you still have Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins, and you have James Wan, of horror fame, the Jason Blumhouse crew from that fame doing.
Wait a second, he was with Jason Blumhouse?
Yeah, Jason Blum found him.
Oh, you know what? You're right. All right. Yeah.
So I'm just saying. So you got Wonder Woman, which was the first female who was almost a Billy Goat, Gal Gadot, and then of course directed by Patty Jenkins, Oscar-winning director.
Thank you. That's why she just she directed Charlize Theron her first Oscar.
But critically acclaimed director, we'll say. Right, did Wonder Woman, and you got James Wan who did Aquaman, right? So those are the big stars, right? You know what I find interesting though? You see what I find it interesting that the guy who started all of that was panned and somehow kind of kicked out. He's now the rock star again. Because I find that even with Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman and Aquaman 2, I find that Zack Snyder's cut is the rock star. That's what we all want. So I just find it.
How about that?
I find a good. Oh, so you did follow where I was going.
I see what you're saying.
I find a good karma that the way, and again, I don't know the behind the scenes, the way Zack Snyder started and left, and everybody else was taking the shine. I find that now that we're coming into this space where the DCEU is starting to find their footing, Zack Snyder's the rock star again. He's the rock star again. Like, we're talking more about the Snyder cut, which I think from what I heard, is not coming out till HBO Max 2021. We're talking more about that than Wonder Woman 1984, which is coming out this October. I guarantee you, the thing you're talking about, the very last thing you're probably going to get a Suicide Squad trailer. You're probably going to hear about Wonder Woman 1984. You'll hear an announcement about Aquaman. You'll hear something about Batman. Even with Batman, you'll hear something about.
Oh yeah. I think they're gonna have something for Batman. I don't know if they have a trailer for it though.
But the very last thing you're going to see, I guarantee you, before we say, "Hey, this meeting is over," you're all waiting. The very last thing you're going to see is something from the Snyder Cut. That's what we're waiting for. So I just find a certain karma in that his trajectory right now at this moment, he's the rock star again. And this guy that we kind of panned him.
Now he's the man again.
It's almost the guy who's leading the way again.
Yeah, I know. I see exactly what you're saying. I actually see exactly what you were saying. The guy that started it, that y'all all shitted on, now he's the guy everyone can't stop talking about now.
And remember, he's the guy that, here's the funny thing, he's the guy that, with Justice League, it still says Zack Snyder's the director, and we kind of shitted on him for Justice League, but his same movie is going to save the day. There's a certain karma in this that I find very tickling. It's the same movie. The movie that you panned, oh my God, he fucked up Justice League. It's Zack Snyder's Justice League cut that's going to lead the way. I just find that so.
It's poetic. I think is it the term called poetic justice?
Yeah, that's it. It's poetic justice. Like, I really thought about that, and when you brought up the whole, we really want to know about the Snyder Cut, I really thought about, like, he did Superman. It was divisive. Matter of fact, he did Batman v Superman, which was also divisive.
Actually, I forgot how people normally say it. They say Batman. They say Man of Steel didn't do what they expected, but it was but it was BVS that was divisive, highly divisive.
Right, BVS was the divisive one, and then, like I said, but then it was Patty Jenkins is going to save the day because Wonder Woman became the rock star. She was the one.
Yeah.
So Patty Jenkins became the rock star. I mean, she was so much the rock star that people were saying, give her
the yeah. Now, remember, we talked about that privately.
Right, we talked about that, but then Justice League comes out. And Justice League, well, we already know what happened. It came and went. And then, of course, Zack Snyder had some personal issues, but still, he still took the brunt of what was wrong with Justice League. He took the brunt of it.
Yeah.
You know, when you watch Justice League, it says directed by Zack Snyder. Like, it doesn't say Joss Whedon, it says Zack Snyder. So he took the brunt of it. So I just find it so interesting and poetic justice that as we move out of COVID and rebuilding, that it's the same director and the same exact movie. Obviously, it's not the same movie, but it's the Justice League movie that you're all highly anticipated to see, and he's leading the charge. It's not Wonder Woman's not leading the charge, and Aquaman, that's the Billy Goat, is not leading the charge. It's the guy you panned. He's leading the charge. I just find that interesting.
I'll be honest with you, just the way you even presented it, again, it goes back to that saying, poetic justice.
Yeah.
And it goes back to something that we talked about from, I said before, and I can probably walk away with this, and this kind of goes into what I was saying from like different ideas and stuff. One thing I like, and you even brought up, chasing MCU. I always understood what he said when he said, yo, DC is not playing around. We're not making jokes. And I know they were taking a little shots at MCU, like, you know, David came out and said, fuck the MCU. But those were actually, I'll be honest with you, I really looked at that as legit, just fun shit talking. No one really took it serious. Like, they didn't mean like, yo, we riding on them. It was like, yeah, we here to compete.
Yeah.
But we're doing our own thing. But we got our own. This is what you're doing. We got something. We coming with that whole other shit. And instead of like I like the fact that they was like, you know what, they're going to do their version with levity, this, that, and the third. We're just going to be more artist driven, director driven, but mostly importantly, they were really aiming for mature. They wanted to take it from the comics, and to be honest, a lot of these comics were mature. They was just like, nah, we're going to. If these guys existed, how would they look? David Ayer, back in the day, they were mobs. That's how the street life and the gang life looked. Mob suits and ties. That's what they came from. This day and age, what are they? Gangs now. So guess what? We updated them, and it was, even though it might have been jarring for some, to be honest, it was very interesting. It was like, yo, you going. Okay, well, what you got for me? Now we're going to be adult. We're not going to shy away from getting an R rating. We don't care about that. We're making a movie. And however this movie goes, that's where we want to go. I thought that was refreshing. I thought that was very refreshing.
You know what's funny? It's interesting to me, and that's a separate conversation, and I don't want to get into it. But for me, you know, I think the MCU found its formula, but this whole idea that the DC movies are more mature and all that, I don't see it. I never really saw that. I to be honest, I don't see the maturity that was in Suicide Squad or Aquaman or Wonder Woman.
T, I'm talking about from where Snyder started from.
Right, but I'm just saying.
Snyder, you got to remember, you're talking from.
I get what you're saying.
Because Aquaman was, to me, Aquaman is an MCU movie.
Right. So was Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman.
Nah, not really.
I think Wonder Woman.
I think they took a lot of the Disney idea of the princess the Disney princess idea, but I felt like they took that idea and kind of put it in a grounded as they
I'm gonna be
could
honest with you.
until they
If you
started really
slap,
getting fantastical with the ancient gods.
I'm gonna be
But
honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you slap the title Marvel's Wonder Woman and gave the exact same movie, it fit right in.
nah,
I don't
I
see. For
disagree.
me, I don't see nothing in that style that I don't see. If you were to put Marvel's Wonder Woman and gave the exact same movie, you just slap Marvel on top of it, and it was an MCU movie, the exact same movie, it fit right in. I didn't see nothing that was different. I really didn't. I didn't see nothing. The only now I will give Man of Steel. Man of Steel was different. I do think Man of Steel was different. And you know what? Batman v Superman, there was a different vibe to it. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't see nothing different in Suicide Squad than from an MCU movie. I didn't see nothing different in Wonder Woman or Aquaman or even Justice League. If you would have stuck Marvel's Justice League and gave the same movie, you had the same thing. You had the same exact movie. So when people keep talking about these,
Well, Justice League, obviously, you could tell because Justice League, you could tell that was in Snyderverse again. That's what I'm saying. That was
but what I'm
a
just
lot
saying
of the
is
movies.
when we talk about
I'm just
the
saying,
DC,
outside of Wonder Woman, all the movies that you found your correlation were outside of the Snyderverse, which goes right back to my point. Now we may differ on the Wonder Woman, but for the most part, yeah, from outside of Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad, I mean, like again, like for the most part, you could kind of see that they were aiming for a more mature audience, and I would still argue Suicide Squad, outside of the music and them going for that kind of aesthetic, nah, DC, Disney would not have made that movie.
yes,
Just
it was. It was a comedy.
it looks too much for them.
It
It
was a
looks too
comedy.
dark for them. It looks too dark for them.
It just looks dark because camera, and because the camera was shot dark. That movie's a comedy.
I
Even
mean,
the
no,
action
I'm not
even
really
the even
arguing
the
with
action
you.
even the action
It's a little bit
sequences are
more
PG.
racier. It's just it's a different type of comedy though. Just because it's comedic doesn't mean that it's the same type of comedy that would fit.
Even for me, the action sequences were elementary.
Okay,
Like they were the shootouts. It was all elementary to me.
okay.
Like I said, the most risque thing was Harley Quinn's shorts. To me, that was the most risque adult thing was Harley Quinn's outfit. Outside of that, you'd have slapped Marvel's Suicide Squad. It was darker because it was just shot darker. You know, like the movie Seven.
No, I see what you're saying. I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, you know how I look at it is
I will give you what you say. Snyder verse and his vision, I do. With Man of Steel and BVS, I will give it to you hands down. I saw a different vision. I saw a different tone. I saw a more, as you would say, adult. That's two movies, though. Everything else that came out after that, I don't see the difference between that and the MCU. I really don't. I think Wonder Woman, you could have literally slapped MCU on it. You had Aquaman, you could have slapped it. Justice League, you could have slapped it. Suicide Squad. You could have put the title Marvel above all those movies, and it'd have fit right in. Now, BVS and Superman, that's different. You would have said, damn, this feels different. The other ones I just named, no, they don't feel different. They didn't feel different to me. So when people talk about this whole difference, I'd be like, well, I just named like, what, 6 movies? Out of the 6 I named, only 2 were different. So I don't really, percentage-wise, I don't see a difference, percentage-wise. I see 2 movies that I can honestly say, which were at the start, that I could be like, yeah, this is different. But I just named the 4 that came after. Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, Aquaman, Justice League.
But
Those
T again. Your name outside of Wonder Woman, you're naming movies outside of Snyderverse.
But they do fall under DCU.
No, understood. But that was Snyder was gone when they already did the when they was pushing that Aquaman, and Aquaman was his whole aesthetic. And I already said that's an MCU movie.
But I'm agreeing with you. What I'm saying is,
I'm just saying from
said
what
the
he
start
started.
of it.
Oh yeah.
Like the start of it is different.
Yeah.
But what I'm just saying is they still fall under the DE. All those movies fall under the DCEU.
I mean, I understand that. I mean,
and the argument is always that DCEU is a more adult, more this, more this.
No. I see where we're wrong at. Nah, that was in the beginning. No one says that now. No one says that now.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going with what you said. I completely listen to me. I'm agreeing with you. The start of it with Snyder was a different vision. I completely agree with you. You can see it in the way it was shot, the action, the acting, the writing. Snyder's vision was a more adult, mature, grounded vision of superheroes. I completely, 100% agree with that. But what I'm saying is, if I take the totality of all the movies that fall under the title DCEU, all those superhero movies, which I just named the 6 of them.
No, I understand what you're saying. I mean, in retrospect, they more average out more towards MCU storytelling.
Right, so that's what you're saying. So what I'm saying is, when people say the DCEU is different because they're more adult, more this, I'm like, nah, I really don't see that.
Well, I mean, I don't hear people saying that now. That's why I guess I got the disconnect. I think that's what my disconnect is.
No, you're right. Not now people are saying, but we both know that was the big thing.
But that was in the beginning when it was.
Right. So right. It was the beginning and when it was, and that was the 2 movies. And that's what I'm just saying. I'm just taking the total whole and going.
I understand what you're saying.
I'm just telling people, listen, man. I'm just telling you the total whole. And the total whole, the numbers don't add up. It adds up to these movies all look the same, except for those 2. Those 2 I can clearly give you. Snyder had a vision. He was going in a direction. When Snyder left, shit went a different direction. But then again, I don't know, because Justice League is kind of like an MCU movie, and that's still his movie.
No, it's not. That's why they call Zack Snyder. They just threw his name on it. He don't consider it his movie. That's why it don't count for me. And that's why everybody was like, well, I like Superman because Joss Whedon wrote him like that. That I heard from what I understand, a lot of that was Joss Whedon. A lot of that was Joss Whedon.
So we'll take Zack. We'll take Zack off of that. We'll take them off. So like I said, I will say this. Now, if you want to add in Joker, because that still is a DC character, and that's a different movie, yeah, I give you that. That's an adult movie, and maybe Matt Reeves is Batman. So as we start pumping out more DCE movies, if it's different than MCU, then I'll be glad to say, yeah, they're going in a different direction.
Can I ask you this? If I may interject one thing.
Mm-hmm.
1989's Batman. You don't find that to be a more mature, especially for that time. I'm talking about the original one. I felt like that was a mature Batman. And 2 was a mature Batman. Then they started kind of moonwalking it back.
Right.
And that's really what I found out. That's why I didn't know he got fired, but Tim Burton got fired because they went too far left because it was too dark for them. That was mature storytelling, and I think that needs to be said. That's one thing I like about they're not afraid to play with it.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think? Wait, now this is where I'm going to ask an honest question, because maybe I have to go back and watch it. Do you find Tim Burton's movies more mature, like Zack Snyder, or you're saying that because it's shot differently?
No, it was more mature for that time.
I know for that time, but I don't think that Batman wanted this big, mature, grounded adult movie.
I mean, I'm not adding any more sauce to it. I'm just saying it was just a mature. I'm not saying it's the most maturest for that time coming out of.
To be honest,
I mean, you can even argue that Superman 1 and 2 was kind of more mature.
You know what's funny? You took the words right out of my mouth, because I was about to tell you, I think Christopher Reeve's Superman 1, and especially number 2, those were more mature. Adult.
Yeah, and I'll say when you get into they two, which is funny for them to the same reason. It's funny, yo. You know what? I'm gonna have to really rethink something now. It's funny how Batman 89 Follow Me and the Bat, the Cat, and the Penguin from the first director were more mature. They bounced him off of 3 to make these lighthearted ones, which ruined the whatchamacallit. And Donna went through the same thing, except that he had an issue on the second one, which, from what I understood, might have been shot back to back. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Well, I don't know.
But he had an issue with that. That's why there's a Donner cut of Superman 2. Because they said another director had to come in to finish part 2. And then years later, they did a Donner cut. That's why everybody was like, yo, well, if they did a... That was one of the arguments. Why should we wait forever for the Snyder cut like they did with the Donner? And that's why a lot of people, even in the circle of the Zack Snyder, the Snyder cut fan base, was discussing it. So it's funny how even with Donner, the last 2 tanked the franchise, so we couldn't see superhero films no more. Same thing with Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And they all started off more mature.
Yeah.
And what killed the franchise was it going goofy.
Yeah.
Or going lighter.
I think the only franchise which I think kept its maturity, and its maturity was probably Christopher Nolan's Batman.
I thought you was going to say Blade.
No, I was going to say Christopher Nolan's Batman, that trilogy. Whether you like the last one or not.
I mean, I like the last one. I just say I'm not impressed with it. Like, it's not a masterpiece.
I think it didn't go goofy, as you would say. I don't think it did.
No, it didn't go goofy.
Right, I think Christopher
I feel like he ran out of ideas. I feel like he ran out of ideas or something.
But you know what's funny? When we talk about a grounded superhero, right? Follow Me. That deals with adult issues and is more adult, right? Mature. I'm going to throw something out there right now, and I want you to really think about it. You ready?
I'm listening.
The Captain America trilogy. And I'm talking First Avenger. I'm talking First Avenger. Yeah, First Avenger, Winter Soldier.
Yo, you know me. I already told you how I felt about it, and I still like the first
But again, I'm telling you, when we say adult, grounded, mature, I think Captain America's, all 3 of them, Civil War, Winter Soldier, and First Avenger, I find those to be very adult, mature.
I'm going to say very,
even
very.
Even Civil War with all the characters, very mature.
I mean, but you know what it is? They're formulaic, though. I will say this. They're formulaic.
Yeah, well, I mean...
They're very formulaic.
Which one is it?
They're formulaic. They're very formulaic. You could see when they want to add the levity, when they want to do this. You could kind of almost beat for beat catch it.
Yeah, but again, like I said, but which one is it, though?
I would say, but then now when you look at Man of Steel stuff, now they focus on the story and the vision and where they're going with. They're not trying to say, hey, we should throw a joke in here just to even out the levity and let's do it here. They don't do that. They just kind of go where the story takes it. But what I'm saying is,
outside of Man of Steel and BVS, I think Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Suicide Squad, and Justice League beat for beat. I think they're very predictable movies. I think beat for beat.
I think with Wonder Woman, again, like I said, I get your argument with DCU. I don't deal with the whole DCU. I go with, because my argument has always been Snyder's vision was going towards a more...
I get what you're saying.
So for me, just to preface my argument, I will say this. The only thing that is formulaic about maybe Wonder Woman was it was kind of a ripoff of Little Mermaid. So you kind of could have just read that beat for beat, but it wasn't shot like that. It was shot like they were trying to keep this tuned to the movie. They didn't get grounded with it. Patty Jenkins, I don't know if that was her idea or maybe it was Zach's. I don't know whose idea it was, because I know Zach was very involved with the first one. I don't know. I was surprised that they really went with the Greek gods as they looked. I was surprised for that. And I just found out something recently. You know how we always said we believe that third act, or I did, could have been Zach. I found out that they were saying that that's not exactly true. Studio heads were messing around with the third act of that film.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But I'll look into that later. But I mean, your last thoughts on the DCU fandom?
I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm with the shit. I listen. I think that I who is a movie fan and a superhero fan, but I've never been a DC person. I just never was.
So would you go see it? Would you go watch the virtual?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, of course I would. I would. Listen, if I had the money, because I've gone to Comic-Con, but to get into the halls costs more.
Oh no, I won't go to the halls. They cost more. Yeah, I ain't doing that.
Right, that's the thing. But if I had the money, I would.
Oh yeah. If I had it like that, I'd go to a hall. I mean, as long as it's not them ab long, because I heard that these lines be long as fuck. So like, but if I could get to it, yeah.
I'm here for it, and again, I'm here for Wonder Woman 1984. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't so impressed with the previews, but I want to see it. I did like Aquaman.
Wait. What previews? Previews of what?
1984.
Oh, you're not? Oh, you're not. You're not.
I really wasn't. I thought that.
Oh, this is a first.
I thought it underwhelmed me, but again, I did like the first Wonder Woman movie, so I'm gonna be there. Aquaman 2, which is not even shooting yet, that's 2022. That's the date I saw it. So, but still, I did like the first one. Robert Pattinson's Batman, I'm very interested in. I like Matt Reeves as a director. I think what Matt Reeves did with the H franchise, taking it over from the second one to the third one, I thought he did a phenomenal job with that. Robert Pattinson is one hell of an actor. Most people just know him from Twilight. I've seen Good Time. I've seen The Elephant. I've seen some of his indie films. I've actually seen them. Yo, he's a damn good actor. And when you talk about disappearing, the movie he did, Good Time, his look, his accent, I didn't even know you wouldn't even know it was him. He's damn near almost like, did you ever see the movie The Revenant with DiCaprio?
Nah, I got to, though.
It's real simple. DiCaprio gets the Oscar, right? I thought the real
Oh, you told me about it on Tom Hardy, yeah.
I thought he's the real actor in the movie. And I remember, this is how good it is. I remember when the preview first came out, you read a review of the preview, and I saw about 3 different previews, like Rolling Stone Time. And they all said it's unrecognizable Tom Hardy. I remember the first time I saw the preview of The Revenant, and I remember saying, where the hell is Tom Hardy? Like, where is Tom Hardy? When you watch the movie, you're like, God damn, his accent, his look, like he really disappeared. And I was like, and then he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, which should have been, but I thought that, because DiCaprio really doesn't speak in the movie. It's a silent movie. DiCaprio barely speaks. His acting is more just facial expressions, which I've seen. I think he was given that performance because they kept robbing him for years, pretty much. That's what I think it was, but that's a whole other subject. But I thought Hardy was unrecognizable, and the reason why I use that is I thought when I saw Good Time with Robert Pattinson, I thought he's damn near unrecognizable. His New York accent, everything. This guy can act. He's the real deal. He's the real deal. Take all that Twilight stuff out the picture. Robert Pattinson can act. He really is the real deal. So to get an actor of his caliber to play Bruce Wayne, I'm very interested. And like I said, we wanted a Ben Affleck directed Batman, but Ben Affleck had his own personal problems with alcohol and things like that, and we wish him well. But I think that Matt Reeves, I think that was perfect casting, if you want to use the word. For a director, I think if anybody has any doubts about Matt Reeves, please. The first Planet of the Apes, he didn't direct it, but he took over 2 and 3, which is 2 is Planet of the Apes and the other one is War of the Apes. I think Matt Reeves did a phenomenal job with both those movies. And I think that he is the right guy for this. And from what I've seen and from what I heard, even his casting, Colin Farrell is playing the Penguin. And I'm going to tell you right now, shout out to one of my YouTubers, Grace Randall and John Campia, who both are big Colin Farrell fans. He's one of the best actors in the game. And him playing the Penguin, I didn't even see that coming. And I was like, that's really interesting. And from all the casting, for Jeffrey Wright playing Commissioner Gordon, even Zoe Kravitz playing Catwoman. If anybody has anything to say about race bending, y'all better go watch the Adam West Remember Eartha Kitt. Put some respect on her name.
Oh, that's a whole fact. But she wasn't the original. I actually used to think she was the original. I actually thought she was the original one. But yeah.
For those of you, but for those of you who be like, oh my God, Zoe Kravitz, they got to get a black girl to play Catwoman. It's been done before.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, how dare I disrespect it? Halle Berry was Catwoman.
I mean, yeah.
And even though that movie was horrible, but and also, for those of you who don't know, if you've ever seen the show Big Little Lies, Zoe Kravitz is actually turning out to be quite an actress.
Yeah, everyone keeps saying about that. I haven't followed her career.
I saw the first. Well, it's only been 2 seasons. The first season she doesn't really. With the second season, she showed you some things, and I think honestly, her look, her face. Because she's got a very strong jawline, and if she rocks that short haircut she's been rocking, I think Zoe Kravitz will be amazing as Catwoman. And up against Robert Pattinson, so I'm very interested. I saw the still with the Batmobile. I'm very interested in Matt Reeves' vision. Very much interested in that. So for me, when it comes to the DC, I'm with it. I like the fact that they are doing their own thing, and I think that's all it took. I think what happens is you spend so much time looking at the competition that you forget about you. You're running your race.
Mm-hmm.
You're running your race.
Mm-hmm.
Don't run it. But they were trying to run, a plan that, Marvel already had years ahead of them, and even if they didn't, that was Marvel's plan and Kevin Feige's plan, and it just worked out. You know what, guys? Instead of trying to rush it, you should have just ran your race.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just put out some good movies. But I saw, like I said, just a side note, what I thought my first problem was, honestly?
Okay.
After Superman, we had Batman v Superman, right?
Yeah.
When I saw Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman on the cover, and it was called The Dawn of Justice, I saw a problem with that. I already was like, damn, they're already trying to rush this group film immediately.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first thought. I thought it should have been Man of Steel Part 2, and you could have introduced Batman,
mm-hmm.
maybe a Batman movie alone, and then maybe Batman v Superman, you could introduce Wonder Woman. But I think that they saw the success of Avengers. That's because, remember, Avengers was the first Billy Goat. So they saw, and Avengers was the first team movie where, wow, this really worked. We got all these superstars, Scarlett Johansson, Chris, we got all these people in one movie together, and I just thought that DC said, yo, let's hurry up and get Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, let's hurry up and get them all together. I think that's what it was. Let's hurry up and get them all together. And I think that was a mistake. And I think when they moved away from that and said, you know what, guys, let's stop trying to chase Thanos. Let's do our own thing. Let's make our own movies. Let's just focus on making a good movie.
And that's what I mean about agendas. Don't have an agenda. Don't be like, I want to make the women movie. I want to make the MCU version of this. Anytime you do that, you lose sight of what made you come here, what brought you here. So you should make it happen organically.
Like I'll tell you this: as much as I love the MCU, right? I think the MCU they got an interesting crossroads. You know why? From day one, we've been building up to this Thanos thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was always a talk about the stones or the Tesseract. From Iron Man, we've always been building to this Thanos thing. Even in Guardians of the Galaxy, Thanos is in it. It's not Josh Brolin, but Thanos is in it. So there's always been this big build-up. Well, guess what? We've already got there. Tony Stark is dead. Chris Evans walked away. You know, obviously they gave Thor a third movie, but now this Thanos thing is gone with the Avengers. The MCU's at a crossroads at where to go.
Well, they've already expressed what they was considering doing. I mean, in terms of telling smaller stories, they said they thinking about not going for a large bad again, because then it'll look. And if you ask me, that's when it starts to look formulaic.
Right. It looks corny. But I do like what they're doing with venturing out, Guardians of the Galaxy or the Eternals. I like that they're venturing out, and I think that's a good look. And I think that they're gonna find their way. There's only one thing. If I could speak to Kevin Feige, I would love to see happen before we get off.
I'm listening.
You know what I'd love to see you find a way to get Charlie Cox and Daredevil in the MCU.
Oh, I want that bad. Everybody wants. I'll be honest with you. I want all of them. I want all of them. I mean, if you want to say goodbye to Iron Fist, I'm okay. But I would rather all of them. I like Jessica Jones, all of them. If I had to choose one, though, I'd go with Daredevil, Charlie Cox. He's the best.
I could care less about all of them. And when I say, and again, I'm not saying bring Daredevil. I actually want you to bring the actor too.
Now I know what you mean.
Like
the actor to play.
Yeah, because Daredevil, as you know me personally, Daredevil was one of my favorite superheroes. One of my favorite comics was Daredevil. But I actually, if you found a way to bring Daredevil in the MCU, no, I want you to bring Charlie Cox too. I think
Daredevil would fit.
Huh?
I think he fits in there.
Oh yeah, I think he does. I think he does. I think that you could easily insert Daredevil in, and I think that I would love to see that. I would love to see Charlie Cox, Daredevil, and Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin.
Oh yes, he was their best villain before. For the whole, I don't care, the whole MCU. He was the best villain until Josh Thanos.
Yeah, he was there, and I think that I would
actually.
Really
I think I like him. I like him more than I'd like Killmonger.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. I think that if I had to name 1 and 2, it would be Thanos #1 and Kingpin #2.
And then it would be Killmonger for me.
Yeah, it would be Killmonger. He could get the third spot.
He get third spot. I mean,
yeah, he get that. I think that's where it ends. But
yeah.
Other than that, good talk, man.
I mean, but anyways, so if that's the last part, I just want to do the last sign off with that concludes this episode. Longer than we thought, but I felt like we talked about a lot of different things. But I would like to say goodbye to Mr. Truth, T the Truth. So, anything else you would like to add and give us your you got any handles and anything else you want people to be able to find you at and to discuss all things movies?
No, you will find me just on this same channel talking about movies and other things until I set other things up. The only thing I have to say is, since we're talking about movies, I really can't wait for this COVID to be open so I can get back in the movie theater.
Oh, that's some real shit. I'll be honest with you, I do look forward to go to the movie theaters, but when the movie theaters were movie theaters. I don't want no weird movie theater experience.
Now, I will say this, though. I will say this. Because everything is getting pushed back, like, almost every movie that was supposed to come out is getting pushed back to 2021. Mm-hmm. So you got all the movies that were supposed to come out in 2020 coming out in 2021, and the movies that were going to come out in 2021 still coming out in 2021.
You think some of it hasn't been pushed back because they were supposed to be recording?
Well, some of them were already done.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that a lot of movies are in post-production where, you're in the editing room, so quarantine's not affecting.
No, I see where you're coming from with it.
But what I'm just saying is, I can tell you right now, 2021, we'll have a lot to talk about because I will be in the theater every week.
Oh man, my pockets. Yeah, my pockets. But
Frank,
we're gonna do it bit real major, man. But like I said, always it's not always about me, and obviously what T thinks. It's also about what you guys think. So just
mhm.
leave it all in the comments below. We love to chop it up with you guys, and I like to even if you got any questions for T in the comments, please drop it there. I'll make sure that he looks into it. So we just keep the discussion flowing. It's all about keep being positive, and for the most part, if you know me, you know I'm not just about the movies in and of itself, the business, of course, but the art of it. I'm really into the art of movie
Mhm.
storytelling and writing, and I really have a deep fascination and passion for it. As you can see, we did not expect to get this long-winded with it, but this goes to show you how we look at films and how much we like films, even with such a short uh, amount of questions, how
Mhm.
deeply involved we are. So if you love movies like we do, man, leave it in the comments below. Talk to us about it. We here for it. And like I always say, like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, till I have a better outro, chill.
Take care. Good night, everybody.